What is an abundance mindset? So you're telling me if I imagine receiving a lot, all of a sudden I will receive a lot? An abundance mindset seems like something make believe. Am I really supposed to trust that my mindset can change the very real situations in my everyday life? I've already survived so many losses and nothing changes. What's the point of an abundance mindset? By the end of this video, you are going to fully understand the purpose of having an abundance mindset and how it could be helpful to your life in this very moment. So, grab yourself a cup of tea, stay tuned, and let's talk about it. Hello, Howell family. I'm your host, HC. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Tea with HC, where we talk about issues that concern you on your journey to being true to you. In this episode, we are discussing the purpose of an abundance mindset. In today's world, the idea that thinking abundantly translates to living an abundant life is very mystified. Because we don't quite understand the concept, and because it is often misinterpreted, time and again the notion of an abundant mindset seems like nonsense from disingenuous people, or people who haven't been through a lot, appearing as if they have all of the answers. However, understanding and applying the actuality of an abundance mindset can be the very thing that significantly changes your life for the better. Simply put, an abundance mindset supports the idea that the universe is a plentiful resource. Therefore, there is no shortage of opportunities for love, relationships, wealth, and prospects. Hence, not because someone else has doesn't mean that you are doomed to have not. And not because someone has won at something in their lives doesn't mean that you have lost in yours. In contrast, a scarcity mindset encourages a crab in a barrel mentality, which is a way of thinking best described by the phrase, "If I can't have it, nobody can." The metaphor is derived from a pattern of behavior noted in crabs confined to a bucket. While any one crab could easily escape the bucket, its efforts will be undermined by others, ensuring the group's collective demise. The correlation in human behavior is this scarcity mindset, where you would attempt to reduce and often even sabotage the self-confidence and efforts of any member who achieves success beyond yourself, out of resentment, spite, or jealousy, to halt their progress because you believe that success is a finite and limited supply. A scarcity mindset halts curiosity and encourages fear, thus restraining creation and opportunity by limiting your thinking potential with negative thoughts, where an abundant mentality would create and see the very same circumstances from a different, much more optimistic and constructive perspective. A scarcity mindset is likely to fight against itself with unproductive thoughts and unfruitful actions. Always remember, our lives become a product of what occupies our mind the most, because our thoughts become actions, and our actions are the tools that shape our lives. Therefore, changing your perspective to an abundant one can consequently help us appreciate life in all of its abundance. I'll show you how an abundant mindset encourages a better version of you by encouraging productivity and creation, defeating self-sabotage, encouraging humility, and overriding fear. Hopefully, that I could enjoy this warm black tea. First, an abundance mindset encourages productivity and creation. An abundant mindset is associated with productivity and creation because it is a mindset that continues to produce despite the circumstances. While a scarcity mindset focuses on what you don't have and areas of lack, abundant thinking is a state of mind that focuses on what you do have and how you can begin to create and move forward with what is available in the now. Thus, instead of being limited to your circumstances, you are open to possibility and therefore dedicated to finding the hidden gems in your reality, which will help you continue to move forward on your journey to achieving your goals. Let's say you are a weightlifting athlete, and because of certain circumstances, all gyms are closed down, and you can't train with the weights to achieve and maintain your ideal body weight as you always have. Where a scarcity mindset would fold on itself, begin to stress, and complain, which would result in no training at all and the blaming of your life on circumstances outside of your control, an abundant mindset would adapt and identify opportunity. Opportunity could mean finding things around the house to help you with your training, asking a friend or others dealing with this circumstance for assistance, or maybe even rearranging the setup of your house entirely so that you could seriously include calisthenics trainings as a part of your routine towards the success of achieving your ideal body weight. As demonstrated with this example, instead of limiting yourself to your environment and perceived circumstance, thinking abundantly would encourage you to create and continue to be productive. An abundant mentality uncaps your limit and encourages different possibilities, thus helping you become more fulfilled on your journey to being true to you. Second, thinking abundantly helps defeat self-sabotage. When we believe that we don't have or present a lack in a certain area of life, it is common to follow up with thoughts of incompetence, uselessness, and even thinking of ourselves as complete wastes, thus encouraging self-sabotage. Self-sabotage refers to behaviors or thought patterns that hold you back and prevent you from doing things that you want to do or intend to do. For example, let's say you finally conjured up the guts to speak to someone you've had a crush on for a very long time. You walk up to her and ask her out, and you get rejected without an explanation. In this instance, scarcity would encourage your mind to go into the gutter and to think of yourself as a loser or of being incapable in the face of your objectives. This could then lead to you going down a path of thinking you are not good enough, or even that you will never be good enough for yourself or anyone else for that matter. In contrast, thinking abundantly would encourage you to not only accept that there will be many people to interact with in your lifetime, but it will also encourage other optimistic ideas. Ideas such as, maybe it wasn't the right time for her. Maybe she was going through a situation that would not be ideal for you at that time. Maybe you weren't ready. Maybe you need to brush up on your communication skills so that you can do better next time. Maybe you need to focus on working on you at this moment instead of having your mind led astray towards a relationship. As you can clearly see, an abundance mindset jumps over self-sabotage by creating many routes and possibilities to help improve your perspective, work on your method of action, and continue to grow forward. Always remember, the brain is a tool of repetition. Whatever gets to it the most will likely rule it. The brain isn't likely to resist the temptation to believe something it is regularly presented with. Therefore, if you continue to tell yourself that you are incompetent you will likely become. If you keep telling yourself you can't do something and that you are not worth the accomplishments that you seek, those accomplishments then become impossible. Be careful of what you tell yourself. Third, an abundant mindset encourages humility. Thinking abundantly is the sister virtue of humility, and they work perfectly together. Where an abundant mindset encourages the possibility for more and for different, humility supports being open and curious enough to accept that new information when it is presented, instead of fighting the idea of change. Humility encourages improved understanding and thus the opportunity of a wider scope of interpretation for the otherwise complex realities of life. An abundant mindset encourages humility because instead of stressing or being confused when a blockade rises up on your road to fulfillment, it assesses the situation, accepts it for what it is, and is open to learning how a perceived blockade can actually benefit and work to the advantage of the journey to success. With an abundant mindset, you are aware of the infinite abundance of life, and you are therefore not worried about whosoever is filled with pride and with ego, because you are aware of your own skills and advantages on your journey to becoming the best version of you. This attitude encourages humility because you then have no problem learning from every walk of life and any situation, because in some way they're all there to help you become you. Finally, an abundance mindset overrides fear. Always remember, although danger can be very real, and you should take your precautions accordingly, all of fear is illusion-based. Living in fear creates limits to your thoughts of potential positive outcomes, and thus creates limits to your reality and depreciates the quality of your experiences. When you are afraid of something, you avoid going towards it, not only because you submitted to the belief that it may potentially be harmful, but also because your mind believes that it is a threat to what it already understands and what it is already comfortable with. In an attempt to protect you from change, your mind closes itself off from the acceptance of that new information and finds comfort in remaining afraid and far away from the said information. For example, let's say, although you have never met one, you are afraid of cowboys because of all of the strange stories your parents have told you about them. Because of this fear, you refuse to interact with cowboys and you speak very poorly of them at every opportunity because you want to encourage others to stay away from them just as you do. Because of this fear, not only have you never actually interacted with a cowboy, you actively create negative narratives to everything you hear about cowboys so that your mind could support the underlying fear. Living in this way would stop you from appreciating and understanding a culture and a people different than your own, which would otherwise enhance your overall understanding of life. In contrast, because an abundant mentality is curious and adaptable, it would be open to learning about the cowboys from an unbiased perspective and potentially grasp a lot of things that could be beneficial for your life on your journey to becoming the best version of you. Most people become comfortable with their fears and thus allow it to dictate their lives and the way that they maneuver on a daily basis. As said by rapper and business mogul 50 Cent, when fear interrupts your routine or changes it in any way, fear already has its hooks deep inside of you. An abundant mentality would encourage learning and thus shine a light on the darkness of ignorance and lack of knowledge, therefore promoting activity and prosperity. Always remember, your mind is both the guard and the prisoner. You will only be as free as you allow yourself to be. To put it all together, we can now assess that an abundance mindset has a significant purpose in your life by encouraging productivity and creation, defeating self-sabotage, encouraging humility, and overriding fear. We can now clearly see that thinking abundantly not only has a purpose, but is a necessary element to having a fulfilled and successful life. What do you think about an abundant mentality? I would love to read your comments as I finish this cup of tea, so please comment below. Like this channel and consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. That's it for today's episode of Tea with HC. Hope this helped you appreciate the purpose of an abundant mentality from a different perspective. I'll see you here next time on Howell Consultations, the how-to being true to you.